Hello everyone, welcome to this Automation Edge video. I'm sure you have viewed the previous API video and likely explored the steps for invoking an API within Process Studio. Indeed, in Process Studio, we use two steps to make REST API calls. First is REST client. It allows you to send HTTP requests such as GET, POST, PUT and delete to a specified endpoint. You can configure headers, query parameters, request body and authentication methods like basic authentication or Auth 2.0. And another is advanced REST client. It is an extended version of the REST client. It provides additional features and capabilities to enhance API testing and automation. The advanced REST client typically includes features like response validation, dynamic parameterization, handling cookies and sessions, managing request headers, authenticated proxy support, option to ignore SSL certificate validation, request timeout, form data request body along with the file upload by providing file path, ability to read HTTP response headers, ability to test REST API. By the conclusion of this video, you will have acquired the skills necessary to employ the advanced REST client step within Process Studio for making API calls. Meet Samantha, a data analyst. She is working for a weather monitoring company. Company provides weather data to various clients and one of her tasks is to retrieve temperature information from a weather API, convert it from Kelvin to degree Celsius and store it in a text file for the further analysis and reporting. Samantha found a reliable weather API service that provides current temperature data for a specific city. Now, let's help Samantha to create a workflow for fetching the temperature data from the weather API, convert it to degree Celsius and store it in a text file. Let's take a moment to reflect on how we can structure our solution. I'm confident that all of you have likely contemplated a solution and the necessary steps required for addressing this issue. Yes. Let's go over them. Start the workflow. Use the advanced REST client step to call the API. Since the API provides information in JSON format, we will read the weather details and save them in a JSON input step. Extract only the temperature from JSON input. Convert the temperature from Kelvin to degree Celsius using the calculator step. Finally, save the Celsius temperature in a text file. Let's go to the Process Studio and design the workflow. As you can see here, I have created a project called as training. Under that, I have created weather API workflow. Add a start step. So let me tell you some interesting things about start step. Start step starts a workflow and acts as an input generating step. It facilitates starting of any workflow that requires an input step. It generates an empty row to start the workflow. Next, take an advanced REST client step and connect it with start step. Before configuring REST client step, let us see some essential parts required to call REST API. First is URL endpoint. It is the URL link that represents the resource we want to access. Resources can be text, image, document or any data entry. Then HTTP methods such as GET, POST, PUT, PATCH and DELETE are used in RESTful API development to specify the type of action being performed on a resource. Next is API parameters. These are options that can be passed with the endpoint to influence the response. In GET requests, they are found in strings at the end of the API URL path. In POST requests, they are found in the POST body. In this use case, we are passing parameters at the end of the URL. Authentication is used to secure APIs is to implement authentication mechanism that control their exposure mainly through user credentials and encrypted access codes. For example, basic authentication, API keys, Auth 2.0, etc. Request header. Request header contains metadata for the HTTP request. It contains additional information about the request. For example, browser type, format supported by the client, format of the message body, cache setting, etc. Lastly, request body. Request body contains actual message content. Now, let's go to the Process Studio again and see the configuration of advanced REST client. Let's first specify HTTP method as GET. We can also take method from the field. So, if you want to select a HTTP method from field, choose the field from the drop-down list. Specify the URL of Weather API in the URL. In URL, it takes city name and app ID as a parameter. When we make request for this API, we get weather details for a particular city. Here, the city we have taken is Pune. It will give us information about location, rain temperature, pressure, humidity, and so on. As you can see here, we can either directly mention the URL in the URL or it can be taken from the field. Under Setting tab, we can configure General Setting, Request Timeout in seconds, SSL, and Proxy settings. In Parameters tab, we can provide parameters and its value. Provide parameter values for post, put, and delete request. Please note that get parameter should be part of the URL directly. As mentioned earlier, here we are passing parameters in URL, so we are not going to set any value in any other tab. We can provide HTTP authentication in Authorization tab and request headers in the Headers tab if any. In Request Body tab, we can provide request body in multiple ways. It can be through read from file or read from field. In case of read from file, we need to browse the file and click on the view request body contents. In case of read from field, we need to select the type and specify from which field we need to select. For Weather API request, we don't need this configuration. Let's go to the last tab, HTTP response. And as you can see, here we can specify output fields like response status, response headers, response body, output file field, etc. You can also test the API by using test button. Click on send to test the API. As you can see here in the response, we have received a status code as 200 OK. Also, the request body you can see here. In this, we can see the weather details of Pune city. Let us also change the step name as Weather API REST call. Click on OK to save the configuration. Let's run this and see the output. As you can see in the preview data, the response status is 200 OK. Let's scroll horizontally. In the response body, you can see the weather details. In this weather details, inside main, we have temperature. This temperature we have to fetch. So let's take the JSON input step. As the response is in JSON format, let's configure the JSON input step. Rename the step as INF weather details. Select the checkbox source is from previous steps. Let's select the response body from the drop down list. Now go to the fields tab and declare the temperature field. In path, write $.main.temperature. Select the data type as number. Click on a OK button. Now we want to convert the temperature which is in Kelvin into degree Celsius. And the formula for converting Kelvin temperature into degree Celsius is Kelvin minus 273.15. So now think about it. Which step we can use for calculating the temperature in degree Celsius? Yes, we can use calculator step for converting Kelvin temperature into degree Celsius. Let's add the calculator step. Now, let's configure the calculator step. Let's give a step name as cal temperature. Declare a constant 273.15. Select a data type as number. Declare a new field Celsius temperature. Select a calculation as A minus B. Select field A as temperature in Kelvin and select field B as constant. Select a data type as number. Click on a OK button. Now for writing the output in text file, let's add a text output file step. Let's do the configuration of text output file. Rename the step as OTF Celsius temperature. Select the location. Go to the fields tab and select the Celsius temperature field. Select the data type as number and click on the OK button. Let's save and execute the workflow. As you can see here in the preview data, we have a temperature in degree Celsius. Let's open the output file and see the output. Here you can see the temperature of Pune city in degrees Celsius. By using this workflow, Samantha can retrieve, convert and store the temperature data for further analysis and decision making. Stay tuned for the upcoming video where we will dive deeper into a fascinating API use case which will execute a workflow deployed on the AutomationEdge server. Sound interesting, right? Don't miss to watch it. Thank you. Have a good day.